And good day. This is Bala Dave, your transcendental reporter, coming at you in order to reveal the depth and unbelievable mystery of the Vedic sciences. What we have here behind me is a elongated map that discloses confidential information all about the cosmic creation from spiritual worlds to material worlds. We're going to go through this in brief today. There will be a follow-up video that will go into more detail with more graphics. I just wanted to give a personal introduction to this amazing source of information. I want everyone to know that this is not sectarian religious dogma. This is divine wisdom that has been imparted to humanity through the Vedic literatures. The word Veda means all knowledge. You have heard of Ayurveda, the ancient sciences of India and the Vedas, which are all very natural sciences based on how humans can live in a balanced, harmonic body that is suitable for the elevation of consciousness, to awaken our full spiritual identity. So any of this information that I'm sharing, although some of it may seem technical or it may seem about cosmology, it all relates directly to human consciousness and how and why we want to awaken our spiritual identity so that we can fully extricate ourselves from the entanglement that we may find ourselves in. So let's start here with a midsection of this poster. This is the demarcation zone called the Brahma Jyoti. It is the great light of God that separates the spiritual reality and worlds from the material creation. Now, the material creation is 1/4 of the existence of God's totality. So it is said in the Vedic scriptures that the 3/4 of reality is the eternal spiritual domain, full of limitless planets of various sizes and full of living entities who are eternally liberated, living in eternality, knowledge, and bliss in their Satchitananda forms, along with all the different avatars of the Godhead. Now, what we're going to concentrate on is this demarcation zone called the Brahma Jyoti, which is the great light of God. So this great white light, effulgence, is what separates these two realms, and which we all tend to refer to as the unity source, or merging into the great light. Certain traditions, the Buddhists refer to this. This stage of liberation that most people from various religions or various spiritual ways of thinking want to attain the great light of God, where basically you can lose your individual identity and merge into oneness. So this oneness that seems so ideal is a very blissful state to be attained, and yet it is not the highest expression of the soul's joy. There is much more joy for the individual soul to be expressed in its loving relationship to the divine person. And the Supreme Person is more than just one person. It is a whole conglomerate of eternally liberated, eternally divine entities, which include the Supreme Father and Mother. The mother aspect is every bit as important as the father aspect, so this is the unity and the balance, and all of their divine associates. So us as individuals, we can experience ultimate variety and pleasure through the expression of our individuality. So this is key in spiritual terms to understand what is the real pleasure of the soul. It is experiencing unlimited variety through the expression of our individuality in loving exchange. Loving exchange occurs when there are two or more transcendental personalities. So when we lose our individuality by merging into the oneness of God, this can be a very limiting experience. Sure, it can be blissful. It's like a blissful sleep, a slumber in which we're forgetful of everything. And it's said that the soul, because it's active by nature, it wants to eventually, after countless eons of time, the individual soul again falls from this unity consciousness, this oneness state of Brahman, and comes back into the material world for activity, because it's the nature of the soul to be active. And so then we again enter the cycle of birth and death, rebirth, transmigration of the soul, through the never-ending cycles of transmigrating from higher and lower planetary systems. So I'm going to get into this map so we can understand it. So we've just been talking about the Brahma Jyoti and how the soul travels. There are unlimited material universes. They emanate from the pores of the great expansion of God called Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is in size inestimable. He lays down in the space of the causal ocean, and from his pores limitless universes emanate, like bubbles emanating from the pores of his skin as he breathes in and out. So as he breathes out, all the universes are created limitlessly, and as he breathes in, they all return into his body. So this is creation of the material worlds. Now, inside of each particular universe, there is another form of Vishnu called Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Right here, this is stated. From Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, he lays down each one particular universe is half full of water, and the other half is full of planetary systems. So Mahavishnu, or Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, is lying in this ocean of water, and from his navel sprouts a lotus, and on top of that lotus stem is Brahma, the first created living being in each particular universe. Lord Brahma is seen in this image here to have 4 heads. In our particular universe, the Lord Brahma, who was the original living being, has 4 heads. He's highly divinely intelligent. He recites Vedic literatures, and he is supremely spiritually evolved. Now, he is given divine intelligence by the flute sound of Krishna's flute, which enters into his ear, and he is awakened to divine consciousness and how to assemble the universe. So all these stories are described in the Vedas, and there is a deep spiritual science behind this all. The highest planetary system in our material universe is Satyaloka, Lord Brahma's abode. Then there is Tapaloka. This is a planetary system of highly evolved living beings. Janaloka, the 7 sages and other great sages, awakened souls live there. Maharloka. Svargaloka is known as the planetary system of the demigods. There are 33 million demigods, and it says here demons. They also inhabit lower planetary systems. Bhuvarloka, Rakshasas and ghosts, they inhabit this subtle energy field outside of the Earth's planetary system. We live on the middle planet, which is the 7th planet down, and then below the Earth there are 7 lower planetary systems, also referred to as subterranean planets. So on the middle planetary system, it says here, you are here, so we can identify ourselves where we are. In Sanskrit, it is called Burloka, the Earth planet. And there are subtle and gross energies, as we know, meaning we are physical beings living in a physical world, and yet there are subtle energies which are we are able to manipulate. It's an energetic reality that we live in. We know that there are many dimensions to reality, and these multi-dimensional universe gives us access to higher planetary systems. The reason why we don't, according to our modern sciences, know about demigods and other living beings on other worlds is because they're on other dimensions. And unless our consciousness is awakened to these other dimensions, we don't perceive them. So living on the Earth planet is an ideal time and space for us to take on spiritual practice. Why? Because the sufferings of material life are acute enough that we want relief, that we want to get free from the material energy, and we want to awaken our spiritual consciousness. So this is one primary reason why life on Earth planet is very useful and very essential for our spiritual growth. We have a rare opportunity here. In the higher heavenly worlds, there is so much subtle enjoyment. These are astral planes and higher subtle planes where bodies do not degenerate. One can live for tens of thousands of years. The enjoyment, sense enjoyment is limitless. And in those higher planes, what's the purpose of executing tapasya, austerity, meditation to free ourselves or raise our consciousness? We're just engrossed in sense gratification. So it's said that in the higher planetary systems, one is enjoying so much. In the lower planetary systems, there are sufferings, which I won't go into, but those are detailed, as well as there are lavish arrangements for enjoyment there, but the consciousness has been dulled down so much that even though one is enjoying on a material sensory platform through art, architecture, bodily engagements, and relationships, however, there is no access to spiritual consciousness. So this is a very sad situation for those in the lower planetary systems. So here on the Earth planet, we have an opportunity. Sometime in other religious scriptures, the word purgatory is there. That could apply. It's a place where there's some levels of enjoyment and there's also levels of suffering, and we have an opportunity here to engage in sadhan bhajan, or the practice of spiritual discipline. So back to our map here. We're in one universe. Let's call it our universe. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is there. The lotus has sprouted. Lord Brahma has assembled the universe. All the planetary systems are here. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. What does it say here? Pitraloka and hellish planets. Now, you would say, oh, hell, that's just something designed or created by those in fear, coming from the Bible. You know, this exists in all religious literatures, but even beyond religion, people, this is spiritual science. The reality is that the creation is set up in such a way, the original reason for the material creation is that God is always eternally enjoying in his superlative world the spiritual reality. The material creation was set up as an opportunity for divine pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take place, so that even in this gross and dark material world, the Lord could come to the earth planet to perform his transcendental leelas and pastimes just as he does in the supreme abode. Now, and these are ever sweet, fresh activities of the Supreme Being, which he gets to express in unique ways here in his avatar forms. And we, the living entities, who are given an opportunity to either exist in the eternal spiritual domain forever, or to come and exploit the material energy practically forever as we like, this is free will. So those of us who are here, let's just face it, by our free will, we're here in the material world going up and down in the cycle of rebirth, reincarnation, transmigration, attempting to enjoy in so many worlds. And in so many forms. Have we been so many different animal forms, mineral kingdom, vegetable kingdom, animal kingdom, now in the human domain. So now that we're here, what are we going to do to move ourselves beyond the material creation into spiritual reality? Now, let's step into the next phase of this. I'm going to show you the upper portion of this map. Right here, this is known as Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna Loka. Now you would say, oh, that's religious dogma. You're telling me that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. Well, there may be religions oriented towards this understanding, but my friends, the absolute truth, supreme reality is what it is. So whether you want to call it religion or spiritual science, that's up to you. But the reality is what it is. The divine couple, Shri Radha and Krishna, are eternally enjoying their sportive pastimes in this divine and perfect abode. Now, emanating from this planetary system, which is like a 1,000-petaled lotus, it is large enough to accommodate any living beings who would ever want to reside there and perform devotional service. There are other expansions of worlds. Ayodhya Dham, we've all heard of Sita and Ram. Their divine leelas take place there, and those devotees of them can go there. There is a great spiritual science, and I'm not going to go into all the details of all these things. We've heard the terms Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ananda is Sri Radha. She is the divine pleasure potency of God. She is equal to God in every respect. So our Divine Mother, Father God, this is a holy unity. This is not a hierarchy based on male dominance. Let us get that straight. So all these expansions of the Godhead coming into the Vishnu forms, Lakshmi Narayan, and all the different avatar incarnations that have ever appeared, all expand in different worlds. Now we come to Lord Shiva's abode. He is a guardian at the demarcation zone of the spiritual reality, the great light of God, and the material creation. I'm going to read a couple passages, and we're going to just play a little music here and see some images on the computer while I read a couple passages here. So please hang with me as we set this up. Okay, so I'm now reading Sri Krishna Govinda is the embodiment of eternality, knowledge, and bliss. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of all lesser controllers, and the source of all incarnations. He has no beginning or origin, though he is the source of everything and the cause of all causes. Only Sri Krishna, who is endowed with his own eternal names, form, qualities and pastimes, is the topmost transcendent reality. His eternal name, Krishna, indicates the supreme existence, characterized by the attractive power of love. Sri Krishna's own eternal form is the embodiment of concentrated eternal existence, cognizance, and bliss. His dark complexion is enchanting, and he holds a flute in his two hands. Although he is the Supreme Master, by the influence of his inconceivable potency, he appears in his original form in medium-sized or human-like proportions as a fresh youth. The best of dancers, in the simple dress of a cowherd boy, playing upon a flute. Therefore, his eternal form is full of astonishing transcendental qualities that have the power to attract everything. He is naturally the supreme predominating male enjoyer with his own transcendental senses. All contradictory qualities, including features which could not ordinarily exist, are simultaneously fully present and coexisting harmoniously with him. Concentrated existence, sat, cognizance, chit, and bliss, ananda, are exhibited most elegantly in him. His expansions, known as Ishvar, Paramatma, or Vishnu, who manifest the material universes, are merely partial expansions of Sri Krishna's original form. Therefore, only Sri Krishna can be called the Supreme Controller, Parameshvar. Although his transcendental senses and qualities are distinct from each other by the influence of his own inconceivable energy, they are combined together in their appropriate places to make the most beautiful, unprecedented spiritual form. Sri Krishna's form is his self, and his self is his form. There is no difference between Sri Krishna's self and his form. The Sri Vigraha of Sri Krishna, the deity we may see in the temples around the world, is the very form of the condensed principle of eternality, cognizance, and bliss, Satchidananda. Therefore, the impersonal Brahman, which is the formless, diluted Satchidananda Tattva, is merely the bodily effulgence of the aforementioned condensed Satchidananda Tattva Sri Krishna, while the thumb-sized form of Paramatma, situated in the hearts of all living beings, who is the universal witness and regulator, is a partial expansion of that supreme absolute truth, Sri Krishna. Thus, the concentrated Satchidananda form of Sri Krishna is beginningless and without origin. He is the origin of Brahman and Paramatma. So let me explain a little something here. These three terms that we just heard, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, I'll just briefly describe. Bhagavan refers to the Supreme Absolute Person, God. Brahman refers to the great white light effulgence, the impersonal aspect of God, known as the energy field, what we call source energy, what we refer to as the oneness of all things. And then the other aspect of God is the individualized Paramatma, who is located within the heart of every living being. This is why I say this is a non-sectarian, non-dogmatic religious view. It is not true. This is eternal, spiritual wisdom, universal and cosmic. Every living being, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, and these are all temporary designations, right? Whether you're a dog, a monkey, extraterrestrial, whatever, a demigod or a demon, even demons, my friends, whatever your position is, whatever your bodily form is currently, in your heart, next to your soul, always is situated the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as the Paramatma, who accompanies the individual soul always as an observer and a witness, just waiting for you to turn yourself, your attention and your consciousness to that Supreme Being in loving communion. This is such a divine revelation and such a wonderful understanding that unites all of humanity and all living beings in the divine expression of supreme spiritual truth. So I will read one other small portion here because I know this was really oriented towards the supreme masculine being. We have one personality here I didn't mention earlier. Her name is Durga Devi, and she is presiding over the material cosmic creation, and she is the jailkeeper. She is the supreme Shakti of God, who is an expansion from the divine Lakshmis, originating with Sri Radha. Sri Radha is the supreme eternal goddess, and from her expands all the other goddesses throughout creation, including all the Lakshmi expansions, Mother Saraswati, all these other beautiful goddesses we've all heard of. And Durga Devi is one of these expansions, and her thankless task is to keep the conditioned souls in the material world under the illusion that this is the all in all, and that sense gratification and the glorification of our own temporary personalities is the ultimate aim of life. This is called false ego. She's keeping us ensnared within our own false egos. The pure ego of every living being is that we are eternal, loving associates and servants of this divine couple, Radha and Krishna. So here in this text, Durga Devi is saying something that I would like to share with you, and I'm going to read that now. Durga Devi says, "The name Durga by which I am known is her name," meaning is Radha's name. "The qualities for which I am famous are her qualities. The majesty with which I am resplendent is her majesty. The majesty with which that Mahalakshmi, Sri Radha, is non-different from Sri Krishna. She is his dearmost sweetheart and the crest jewel of his beloveds. Thus the Svarup, that is the embodiment of transcendental love, bliss, and supremely ecstatic transcendental mellows, who is the pinnacle of Mahabhav, and who is the self-illuminating effulgence in the form of mantra, is called Sri Radha. Sri Radha is the most excellent, just as Sri Krishna is the origin of everything, while being personally without beginning. Similarly, Sri Radha, being non-different from Sri Krishna, is also the origin of everything, while being without origin herself. It is therefore stated in the Gautamiya Tantra, Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kunti Samohini Para. Sri Radhika is the supreme goddess, the Paradevata, the exclusive abode of Krishna's loving pastimes, and the shelter of all goddesses of fortune, Mahalakshmi. She is the most beautiful, her inside and outside are nothing but Krishna, and she is incessantly absorbed in Krishna. She is the embodiment of all splendor and is the enchantress of Sri Krishna's heart. Jai Jai Shri Radhe! So I thank you for joining me today on this little escapade of understanding transcendental cosmography. I am going to close here at this time, and you can see part 2. Thank you for joining me.